Meanwhile, leaving the area of food, now we're going to go into something more about culture. So we're going to talk about movies. So recently there's been a movie called A Journey to the West. So the story of like a guy who runs like a magazine, a science fiction magazine, and then he has like a tip that there might be an alien actually who crashed up somewhere in China. And so they go with his team, this professor and his team, they go all across the country to try to find the aliens, and that's like a romantic comedy.
And I don't know why, but I kind of feel that that's Sam's story.
Yeah, indeed. It's a joke.
Aliens.
No, but also one thing though is that why I'm talking about that is that because this movie actually made a kind of really, really nice box office recently. It's been in the cinema beginning of April, and they made like more than 8 million USD. But what I find really interesting is that, when so many people are lamenting about like it's hard to make movies in China, and it is really in terms of money and also the local regulation. But when you look at this film, I get really, let's say, hopeful that more good stories can come out of that, because it has been selected to a couple of international film festivals. The movie is really good, and in terms of box office, like everyone is talking about it. Like the word of mouth was really great on that film.
Yeah, I really want to see it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet,
You
but
like
I
aliens?
love aliens and UFOs. So
Again, it sounds like your story.
Well, yeah. Well, I've seen Wandering Earth, and I thought it kind of sucked, and not because it was Chinese or anything, but because I think like these like Hollywood sci-fi movies all kind of suck. They're all very generic, and I was hoping that a Chinese film might do something different and new and take a new spin on it. And the only kind of difference was that instead of the US saved the world, China saved the world. So I was a bit kind of disappointed, and it lasted really long, and I was like, oh my God.
It was a long
So
movie.
I'm hoping that this kind of more independent kind of movie might have something more interesting, even though it's not strictly sci-fi, as you say, but maybe it's at least got a little bit more depth to it than these big Hollywood and big, I don't know, what's the Chinese equivalent?
I don't Hong Dian.
Big Hong Dian, yeah, big Hong Dian movies. Yeah.
Well, and anyway, we can read your piece, Sam, onto the World of Chinese magazine, right?
The name of my piece is Close Encounters, and it is a piece about UFO hunters in China, real life UFO hunters and their real life search for life off Earth.
And that will put, of course, a link in the description of the show. Well, that will be all for today. So, dear audience, dear listeners, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button, especially the little bell if you're on YouTube, so that you will know when our next show is going to come out. Meanwhile in China is brought to you by the World of Chinese magazine, or with the team all around me here today. So if you want a more centered take on China that goes behind the headlines, you can go to theworldofchinese.com and subscribe to gain access to our latest article, podcast, and videos. Today's episode was produced
By me, Dragos Caccio.
hosted and edited by me, Aladin Faré, and distributed by the World of Chinese Podcast Network. See you next time. No, please.